Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
And if you enjoy Stargate, I'm sure you're probably a fan of the other Star franchises of science fiction, so I would definitely recommend checking out Secrets of Star Wars. You can find that at sqpn.com/Star Wars or wherever fine podcasts are found. Today we are discussing the 4th episode of Season 6, Frozen. In this beautiful, charming Disney movie, wrong Frozen. In this episode, the team travels to Antarctica, where they discover a frozen woman who's named Ayana, who is millions of years old. As they attempt to thaw her, they realize that she possesses extraordinary regenerative abilities and may represent an advanced stage of human evolution, or even an ancient. However, the team soon becomes infected by a deadly virus that was trapped in the ice with Ayana. As they struggle to find a cure, Ayana eventually sacrifices herself to save the team, and O'Neill, who is also infected, reluctantly agrees to temporarily become a host to a dying symbiont to save his life. And we get a nice cliffhanger here. So get to see Tok'ra Jack next week, so that'll be fun. What are your thoughts on this episode, Lisa?
I thought I really remembered this episode until I watched it again, and then there was so much that I didn't remember. And I like Jonas. I like that he has such a just a real part of this, that it's him making the connection with the frozen lady. And then the cliffhanger at the end leads us to a really, really amazing episode as Jack as Tok'ra. So I like it. It's interesting, and it connects a whole lot of dots for the Stargate universe.
Nice. What about you, Victor?
Yeah, I remember this episode. It has some good bits to it, but it makes me sad because it ruins a lot of potential here. And it kind of messes with the continuity in the timeline. There's a number of errors. Jonas said that, the Stargate was buried 2,000 years ago. It was 5,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. Aliana is and that's not even, we don't actually learn her name. That's just the name the scientists give her.
Right.
Mm-hmm. She's built up, she's probably the most significant find that they've ever, the Stargate program has ever found. And then she is she just dies basically. Midway through the episode. It's not even her episode. It just kind of sets up to make it, the whole point is just to make Jack sick, right? And we never really learn if she's part of a parallel evolution that happened on Earth. Is she an ancient? And even what we later learn about the ancients, and I think they come down on the side of she was an ancient, that she would still be too old for an ancient, given what we know about, I think, the ancients in this galaxy and stuff. So it's kind of and she's a very significant find, and she just, heals them and dies, and that's it. And then it just all serves to make Jack sick enough to need a Tok'ra.
I'm surprised by that because it did seem like a pretty major thing. And they say she's at least 3 million years old, and so if the ancients, I've not gotten to a lot of the stuff with the lore in them yet, so I assume if they're not that old, then that isn't odd.
They might be. I have to look at there's a whole timeline of the ancients that I could pull up.
Nice.
But yeah, no. And so it's just a lot of wasted potential. I do like the Arctic base. I do like that we go back there after Solid Dudes, and that we meet these scientists, one of which played by Bruce Harwood from the X-Files. So I think he's our second scientist who's a member of the Lone Gunmen on that show. So after Dr. Lee. And so I do like, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on here, but then, 3/4 of the way through the episode ends, and then it becomes, the next episode.
Save Jack.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a sucker for any sort of weird Antarctic science fiction.
Yeah.
So, and this didn't it's set up kind of like The Thing, or pretty much any of these kinds of stories is, but I do like that she wasn't evil. Because I kind of felt like that was going to be what it was. And you see her kind of like sneaking around a little bit, but it turns out she's just healing people. So I was glad they didn't go that direction.
Almost as sweet as Jonas smiling at her, right?
Yeah.
He was
two really good, nice aliens, you know?
And I almost think like if they had the, Jack becomes a Tok'ra thing in mind and this is how they were going to get there, I think this almost seems like it was written for Daniel Jackson. Because at one point they're like, she's conscious and talking, and then everybody looks at Jonas and is like, Jonas, get in there. And it's like why? It's like, oh, I guess because he's the language person now.
Yeah, he's the new Daniel.
Yeah, he's the new Daniel, but it's like we haven't really established him as like Mr. Ancient languages the way that Daniel was. So I think it almost seems like this was written, for Daniel before he left the show.
Oh, it might have been. And we do see her again. There is a connection in Atlantis. She's in the very first few minutes of Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't remember it. So, unless it's when they say, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
maybe.
she's on Atlantis. So,
okay.
So there is a connection, and I don't know about the timeline and all that. I did see that there were goofs, but I'm pretty forgiving with all that.
You can't chalk it up to early season weirdness because we're in season 6 now. So I kind of thought the Jonas thing was just he's young and attractive, she's young and attractive. Maybe they'll hit it off and she'll talk to him. Was that their thinking?
Well, I like that he says you learn something about I learn fast and you learn faster than me.
Yeah, I thought that was a quick
kind of
study.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, it gave him something to do because Jack and Teal'c, they didn't really have anything to do besides stand around and look bored and then go track down the frozen guy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Carter and Janet are solving all the mysteries.
It was fun to have a Carter-Janet team up episode. We don't usually get that. So
yeah, I like them together.
It is funny, though, that the big thing is that she can understand them. She learns quickly how to understand what they're saying, but she can't speak, which I guess is so they don't give away who she is. They can leave that a mystery, leave it more open. But this is one of the few times they actually acknowledge that everybody just speaks English in the galaxy and we don't worry about it.
I think she learned, like she didn't speak English. She just learned right away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just funny that pretty much every other planet they go to, even if they're descended from Vikings, they speak perfect English.
Except for her, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever gotten any sort of hand-wavy universal translator or anything like that. It's just go with it.
Yep. Because the only language on Earth is evidently English.
Yes.
And they're all descended from Earth, and English has always been the same for like forever, so it makes sense.
That's right, yeah.
It'd be really funny if they only spoke like 1920s like speakeasy slang.
Yeah.
You get to the Viking planet and they're like, what are these yucks doing here?
Top of the ziggurat, ma.
Now I want that episode.
Yeah. Wasn't that an episode of the original Star Trek or something?
There is one, yeah. The gangster planet one. So.
Yeah.
Or the ancient Roman planet. So,
yeah. Maybe they just hadn't built a 1920 set in Vancouver that they could use for cheap.
Right.
Like they had on the Paramount lot.
Yeah, that's how you get a lot of those period planet pieces is you got Mayberry, let's use it.
Yeah.
I want to see more of like this Antarctic team though. This is only the second time we've seen them, and I just like anything that's like Antarctic themed. You get a lot of the whole ancient alien stuff, so that would be cool to see. And like you were mentioning with the timeline, they Jonas saying that it was buried 2,000 years ago, even though they also say that it was buried before Antarctica froze over, and I think it froze over like at least 10,000, if not more. So that doesn't line up either.
No, but I like the way they called back to Jack called back to being in Antarctica, when he and Carter were frozen, went through the gate. And then the scientists made reference that they'd been there for 4 years and they had found nothing, and they were about ready to give up and go home. And so that was kind of nice. And they're bored and Carter's on a Zoom call with them, I guess before Zoom. So
it was a very clear AOL chat call or something.
Right? Without a lot of delay, too.
Yeah. I do like the way it's set up. Like Dr. Michaels is talking and kind of giving the background and stuff. And you think she might be like narrating a log or something, which is a good way to deliver exposition. And then in the camera, turns around and she's talking to Sam, which I did think was very nice.
Mm-hmm. That was a nice
definitely
way to do it.
So how do you feel about Jonas just like immediately crushing on Ayana?
I think his infatuation is purely intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's never
100%.
met somebody who is 3 million years old.
I mean, who has?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a schoolboy who just gets excited about learning and experiencing new things constantly. And that's pretty much him the whole season, really. And so I didn't see it as crushing us so much like, ooh, this is so interesting.
I think it was a little bit of both. But I love his enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It was funny though that I think Jack had like maybe 4 scenes in this episode, and every time he's just kind of lying on the couch and grousing about things. So
right. And
it's funny.
He referenced the Simpsons again. We haven't had a Simpsons reference in a little while.
Oh, nice.
About how he forgot to set his, did he say DVR?
I forgot to tape The Simpsons.
Tape it, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I guess this was the point where you would still tape things. All the DVRs were around.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, when Stargate first came out, I remember we actually had our VHS and we used to tape it.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point we got a DVR. So I thought that was kind of nice that he had and then the whole doctor moment.
Yes, we get another doctor,
great.
major, doctor moment. Yeah.
Doctor, major, doctor.
I think our second one on the show, if I recall, but probably not our last. Yeah. You mentioned, Jonas's eagerness and stuff. And if you don't follow Corin Nemec on Twitter, you should. Friend of the show and friend of StarQuest, that Geekdom Come actually asked him in a tweet, given your eager fascination here and your tweets for peace on Twitter of the actor, how much of Jonas was an act and how much was really just you? And Corin Nemec replied, all and none.
Ooh,
so
cryptic.
So there was a lot of Corin Nemec in Jonas Quinn, and yet also not. So I thought that was a nice little exchange on Twitter this past week.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, he's really good at interacting with the fans, and he's a very interesting person to follow. So I like what he brings to the team.
Yeah.
So we get the Aliana frozen. Ayana.
Yeah.
Frozen in the ice, and so. Yeah, Jonas identifies somehow that's a Native American name.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Michaels replies that her grandfather was 1/4 Cherokee, which I guess is like I read online, I don't know if this is true, that Christopher Judge would also say the same thing about himself. So they put that into the show as kind of a joke. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I read that too. Yeah.
Nice.
But so they start to thaw her out and she's alive. Like she's perfectly fine. So
that was a really cool sequence. I like how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess the cold never bothered her anyway.
And I love all of their reaction, and Jack's kind of like, why, what's going on? And they're all like, it's crazy. That was kind of fun.
And it is interesting that they find her. She doesn't have any sort of technology with her. She has like her kind of her space fashion suit on, but other than that, it looks like she's just kind of in a burlap sack.
Yeah, like a cloak or something.
Yeah, and there's no and they talk about how her regenerative abilities are what keeps her alive. There's no sort of stasis technology that she's using. So
And I love the way that they give us that scene where when she starts to thaw, her arm is over her face.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's not like you see her face and the ice melting off of her. It's a dramatic reveal, that she looks completely normal. And then you get the moment where Janet does the thing in her eye and her
pupils
Very
dilate.
dilate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
that was
Yeah.
that was
well
super
done.
cool. Because I don't know, I don't think you're expecting that, right?
No,
Mhm.
no. And I guess it's good that the team, I don't know that they would have thawed her out there necessarily, versus in some like Area 51 laboratory or something. But I guess it's good that even though she died, that they found her, that she got to be around other people. Because if she had just stayed frozen in the ice for like another 50,000 years until the climate changed or something, and then like thawed out and like nobody was around, she would just be like, oh no. And then like she would be lonely and die.
Or drown, yeah.
Yeah, or drown. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny, the whole issue is it's funny watching shows that have like those contamination viral storylines post COVID,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
because they're like, oh, Jonas probably is infected, so it doesn't matter. We're all probably infected, but no one's taking any sort of precautions. And I think realistically, in this kind of situation, they'd probably be wearing PPE anyways, just because you don't want to contaminate whatever you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I read an article recently about scientists doing this kind of thing, not thawing out ancient humans, but
Yeah.
reviving old viruses and old bacteria that they've pulled from ice core samples. And it just seems like a bad idea.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of novels written about that kind of, novels, sci-fi, all kinds of stuff. And so I'm watching this and, Jonas has kind of got that little mask and he's kind of holding it up to his face. And I'm sitting there going, it's not going to work.
You're not standing 6 feet away, man.
There's no seal. It's not even N95. Respirator.
Where's the hand sanitizer?
Yeah. And then when they're suiting up to go back to, because for some reason, like they're all going back to the SGC now instead of to an actual like hospital or medical
yeah.
or hazmat, like hazardous disease institute or something. Then Teal'c has to put on his like, a bunny suit or whatever. And he looks so sad. And they're like, oh, Teal'c, you don't want to infect everybody else. And he's like, oh, I guess not. And like puts it on.
Yeah.
And he brought his candles. He brought his Kelnareem candles with him to
He
the
did.
Antarctic, because apparently you can't enter a state of deep Kelnareem without your candles, without your Yankee, symbiote scented candles or whatever they are.
I wonder if they're like altar candles where they have to be like made out of beeswax. Like, could you just go to Tuesday morning and buy some tea lights, and does that count? Or
And does he have like his go bag? Does it have candles in it already? Just in case they're gone for a
Probably.
while.
what would have been clever is if they showed him using those emergency like fire, like they look like little like white plastic cubes kind of, and you can set them on fire.
Yeah, the paraffin.
Yeah, that would have
Yeah.
been clever because they
Or like
probably
a-
have a lot of those there.
Or like a Bunsen burner or something.
Or when what's the thing you make creme brulee with?
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
just a butane torch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So need to go on a deep dive of the rubrics of Kelnareem and see if we can get these questions answered.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we should ask Joseph Malazzi about.
Yeah. I think at a certain point he might just say like it's just a show. Like,
Yeah.
he would go full William Shatner on Saturday Night Live. Probably not, but
Maybe. And
yeah.
for a question like that, it's probably deserved.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the story about someone asked Rick Berman how the inertial dampeners work on the Enterprise, and his response was, "Very well, thank you."
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, it's so it was a very jarring cut when we go from the Antarctic base to back to the SGC, because it's like a lot of the issue is they're not going to be able to land in the storm, and then we're contaminated, so we have to be quarantined, and then they're like, "Okay, we're going to go now."
Storm's over. Helps here.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we get the Toker there, and at this point, Jack is like severely ill,
Mhm.
probably gonna die. And the option they have to save him is they have a Tok'ra Goa'uld symbiont who his host died, and the symbiont is dying. He needs to be placed in a host. And so the Tok'ra make a deal saying that they'll put it in Jack temporarily so it can heal him and revive him. And when Sam brings this to Jack, his response is, "Over my dead body."
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, that Tok'ra has very important information.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Very important.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to know how long. Okay, you knew at some point they had to play this, card, right? That Jack is going to have to take on a Tok'ra or something. I wonder how long they had it in their back pocket, and like at what point were they like, okay, this is it. Now we're gonna, this is the season. I mean, it ends up being great, but like, this is it. This is the moment. We're gonna do it.
I wonder if it was bringing Jonas on, because at this point, Jack is the only 100% normal human on the team, because Teal'c is a Jaffa, Sam's been a Tok'ra, and
we don't know if Jonas can do it.
Yeah, he's a human, but he's an alien, so
yeah.
They needed to get Jack away from being a vanilla human being and turn him into something else.
I did like that. Of course, the little shipper in me, I did like that they used Carter to be the one to ask him.
Yeah.
And you get that little moment, he says, "Over my dead body," and then she's like looking at him at those eyes, like, "Come on, Jack," and
he said yes. No, and then once
you're like, was she just gonna say like he said yes? Like,
yeah.
Well, and then he doesn't even say yes. He just, once they say, of course, the Tok'ra has important information. They don't even say like about Apophis or not about Anubis or that could save millions of lives. It just says he has important information, so it could be anything really. Could be like, yeah, they've changed the access codes on their transporter rings on
the
other ship 14 or something. And then Jack nods a little bit, but it's very subtle. But it's pretty good acting from Richard Dean Anderson, considering he's wearing like a, respirator and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
my kids were saying like, just why are you asking him?
Yeah.
He's going to die. Can't you just take it? Who has his, what's it called? Living will or whatever. Can't they just say yes? Do we have, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, right? DNRs.
Yeah.
Does your DNR include sarcophagus, Tok'ra? Like, where does that stand in his legal documents?
And I would assume Hammond could probably order him to do this. I honestly don't know about how that works. I wish Father Corey was here. He could probably elucidate that. But
well, after the past couple of years, we've learned that the armed forces can order their service people to do anything medical. So, right?
Yep.
True.
Pretty much.
His only option would be to resign at that point, or retire at that point. But I guess when it comes to alien implantation, it's always easier to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
True.
I think that's the tact that the aliens from Alien take too.
Yeah.
They're very apologetic after they implant you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of let down that the Ayana storyline doesn't really go anywhere. Like, I was almost hoping that there'd be like an end scene, like a tag at the end where she wakes up, she's not really dead. Her body is like regenerating or something. But it's disappointing to hear that doesn't go anywhere, because I feel like there's a lot more they could have done with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Or she could have just like woken up and then like turned into a space squid and flew away or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But then that would have connected us. We don't know that connection yet, right?
Oh,
Ancients
that the ancient
to space squid.
Yeah, I forget I said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that we did. Isn't that what happens to Daniel?
Yeah.
But he's not an ancient. He's a human.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyways,
maybe I don't know what the ancients are actually.
No, don't worry. Like,
I honestly think maybe they didn't either yet.
At this point, yeah.
It's like they were figuring it out.
Just throwing ideas against the wall, see what sticks.
But then they're like, "Oh, wait a minute. We got a green light for another show." Because remember, at this point, they thought season 6 was it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, and then they get they get another, I don't know how many seasons, and then they get Atlantis. And so it's kind of like, oh, wait, we can really expand this.
It will be interesting to see, watching through, if anything feels like it is pointing towards a wrap up of the story. Because I don't know at what point in season 6 they got the green light for the additional season. So, because I know it would be interesting if it's like halfway through, it feels like, oh, we don't actually have to wrap everything up. We can let it breathe a bit more.
Yeah. And I don't remember. I'll have to look into that. I don't know when they got it. But
yeah, I'll do some digging on that.
Surprised and happy that they didn't go the easy route, which could have been that she just healed them all. Like, oh, there's a virus, but then it makes her weak, and then I'd forgotten about the whole Jack thing. So I was kind of expecting it to end with, they're all sick, and then she secretly heals them all, and then she dies. Yeah. I mean, that would have kind of been an easy way to do it, but I'm glad they didn't.
When I watched this previously, I thought Dr. Woods, so he's, I think, one of the first ones that she heals, and then he's watching her because everyone else is too sick. And he's like, gosh, I feel kind of guilty, me being all healthy while everyone else is still so sick that you made him. And I always thought in the past that like he was kind of guilt tripping her into healing them. Mm-hmm. But I think that he was just actually expressing like, survivor's guilt, but the way the actor delivers the lines, it kind of comes across like somewhat passive aggressively. And then like, she knocks him out with her ancient touch and, just touches his face and he falls asleep. So
yeah, she has a very ill-defined power set.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her brain is super different and that's her power. Yeah.
But her hemoglobin levels need to be the same.
Yeah. Because they did say her white blood count was low by human standards and stuff. But yeah, so she couldn't heal herself, but she could heal other people or something. So
I did like that they called back to Cassie's brain and Jack when he downloaded the ancient. And, they did kind of make that reference and tried to make those connections, which I thought was good.
Right. When they're looking at the brain scan, they all have that blip kind of same waveform is what it looked like to me, but maybe it's the subliminal messaging in all the songs. It says you're an ancient.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah. So it's fun that this ends on a cliffhanger and it's not a part 1 of 2 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they're keeping some continuity going there. And I'm very interested to see Tokrified Jack, because I've heard that that's a lot of fun.
Well, I hate to tell you don't get it next week.
Oh.
You got to wait.
I'm going to have to binge watch a bunch of episodes in a row then. I always try to just stay like at the one we're watching because I don't want to get confused when we're recording. But I should probably do a binge and then just go back and watch.
Yeah. I think it's only 2. I think you only got to go 2.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun.
I did just look it up, and that they did expect, when they did the last episode of season 6, they thought that was the last episode.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because if you go and look at what that last episode is, you can see it, like what they did. I'd forgotten about that. So yeah, so season 6 they did. Maybe that's why they did the Toker Jack thing finally, is all the things they've wanted to do. Let's do them.
Yeah, leave nothing on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. It'll be interesting to watch out for that pattern as we're watching through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then season 7, they're like, oh,
yeah.
Now what?
They ran into the same problem that Babylon 5 did with its last season. Like 5 years of story, you have 1 season to finish it. Oh wait, now you get another season.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't usually go too well.
Nope.
Well, in their case, it did. Season 7 was still still good.
We get Daniel back, so
we do.
We get some fun episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think awesome. They do start having a little more fun with some of them, and then they have a few dark ones too. So I guess it's almost like a new lease. Like you think you're done, and then it's like, oh, well, people like this. Why don't we try something cool?
Then we get Atlantis and
Yep.
all that stuff spinning out. So
Yep.
I'm really excited to get to Atlantis.
I've started watching it again. I forgot how much I liked it.
Nice. So we have some alternate language titles for this, Victor?
Yes, we do. Some of them are quite poetic, as a matter of fact. In French, we get Prisoner of the Ice, Prisonnier de Glace. So very, very, prosaic and stuff. And in Italian, we get A Body in the Ice, Un corpo tra ghiacci. So it's very, very musical, very lyrical. And then in German, we get Virus aus dem Eis, which is virus from the ice.
Oh, not to give it away there. Go on.
Yeah.
That is a good... I feel like there's probably a German metal band that has that as their name.
Yeah. But
So, nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
I like the delivery there too. So
yeah.
bravo.
Thank you.
Awesome. We have some feedback. Bessie L. Cow emailed Secrets of Stargate, and you can also do that at stargate@sqpn.com, saying, I stumbled upon Secrets of Stargate when I was looking for a good commentary podcast after Season 2's Holiday in my series rewatch. And now that I'm in Season 6, I need you guys to do 3 or 4 episodes a week so I won't have to watch the second half of the show alone. Either that or jump into a time-traveling puddle jumper and begin the podcast at least 2 years before you did in this timeline. Thank you, Jack and Shalkek Nimron Sola de Gloria. So it's a nice amalgamation there of Stargate and Latin there.
Yeah.
But 3 or 4 episodes a week, I don't know how my wife would feel about that.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you very much for the feedback.
Great
We're having
feedback.
a lot of fun with this, and we're glad you're enjoying it too. It's always fun especially if you're rewatching a show, to have like a kind of a fan commentary to go back, and it's like you're watching it with other people. So that's why it's a lot of fun. So but yeah, we definitely appreciate that.
I think we should try the time traveling puddle jumper idea.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
How much power do we need to power a puddle jumper?
Oh,
Is it 1.21 gigawatts? Or
it's a fraction of a ZPM. So,
if I knew what that was, then
yeah.
There you go.
awesome. Before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Secrets of Stargate, including Frank R., Mary Jean C., Toby T., Lynn F., and Suzanne S. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel, where you can actually see us if you want to. The best part, though, is you get to see my cat and Lisa's dog. So they're really the stars of the YouTube stream.
And you get to see me do this.
You also, if you want to see what Victor's doing, go to youtube.com/SQPN. And you can email us. Totally lost my train there now.
Sorry about that.
No worries. And we'll be back next time, and we'll be discussing the next episode of SG1, Nightwalkers. Until then, Lisa Jones, thank you for joining us and sharing the secrets of Stargate.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack, and dope.
Donuts.
Donuts.
And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?